inheritance. It's dumped by Benami. The leaders are winding up here at Daytona. The big one is out.
Good evening, race fans. The time has come. It's round 12, the finale of. I'm just going to pull up here. The Rubbins Racing Next Gen Series every Tuesday night, sponsored by Buckkicker, proudly broadcasted in 1080p, 60 frames a second by the Team Green Quad Network. 1 hour long races, one fast repair, great racers with great attitudes here tonight. We're just going to jump straight into qualifying here. So if we get our task car timing tower up in just a second here, we can see Dominic DeLeo is currently on our provisional pole position. As it looks like our ticker is also. Yeah, so we're just going to get a quick restart on that. And yep, okay, cool. We've managed to get the overlays fixed now, thankfully. So yeah, looks like our drivers are now making their way around, doing their final qualifying laps, or the cooldown laps if we catch anyone on their hot lap. I don't think there is anyone left, however. Looks like Dominic DeLeo is currently your provisional pole position with a time of a 39.19. Nick Leo, less than a thousandth of a second behind. Quickly get there. They sat identical lap times. Both drivers setting a 39.19 second lap here around the Michigan International Speedway. Absolute scenes already, as it seems. Both these drivers are battling for the championship. May I remind you, if we pull up our championship standings in the bottom right of our screen now, you can see Nick Leo is currently leading the championship with 3 wins there with 319 points. However, Dominic DeLeo sitting behind in that P2 spot, only 10 points behind him. 2 wins to his name. Now, if you think about this, if Dominic DeLeo wins the race in a hypothetical scenario, for him to win the championship, Nick Leo would have to finish 8th or lower in order to secure that championship win. So obviously anything can happen here. There is more than 8 cars on the field here tonight. So anything could happen. Nick Leo could be involved in an early accident, or Dominic DeLeo could. Same sort of odds there. However, you need to think the championship is on the line. So it's definitely, I'm expecting a lot of drama to happen for sure. As it looks like, wrapping up in just a second here. And go. So ladies and gentlemen, this is our grid for tonight. We have Dominic DeLeo running out that number 1 spot in the number 22 machine. In your P1, and you have Nick Leo in P2 in the 69 dual bag machine with an identical lap time. Both these drivers setting phenomenal pace. Followed by Stefan Gibson in number 53 in 3rd, Jared Reed in 4th, Carter Lenz in 5, Garrett Hall in 6th, Robert Mathis Jr. rolling out in the number 7 spot, Jake Vanosky in P8, Charlie Gates Jr. P9, Kevin Haas P10, Butch Taylor rolling in that number 12 spot, or Leaf Smith in number 11, apologies. Then you've got Butch Taylor in number 12. And that seems to be your grid here tonight. So 12 drivers setting their qualifying laps. Just a couple of drivers at the back of the grid not setting times. That doesn't matter, because they'll be all starting on the grid with the draft. I'm sure it won't be an issue. Yeah, drivers lining up on pit road at the moment. Just getting ready for that pace car to start rolling and these cars to roll onto the pace lap here tonight at Michigan International Speedway. I must remind you, it is the season finale of the Rubbins Racing Next Gen Series. I'm definitely looking forward to drama and stuff to go down, I'm sure. It will not be a simple fight. Dominic DeLeo will not go down without a fight, I'm sure. Nick Leo, all he has to do at the moment is just make sure he doesn't finish 7th or below, and he is guaranteed that championship win. So it all could happen. He could still get involved in early instant on lap 1. We do not know. Dominic Leo could equally. So could any of these drivers. But these drivers are definitely going to have to think about the championship. Maybe it's sitting in the back of their heads. Maybe they're trying not to think about it. But surely they've just got to think. They've just got to think, you know, if this happens, do they take risks? So definitely there's an extra factor at play here. That looks like our driver's now rolling onto the formation lap. Coming out of pit road. See if we can get a better camera of that. Yeah, we can see all 14 of our drivers, I believe, rolling out of pit road here tonight. Or 12 drivers, excuse me. For the final time here in Season 1. Going to Leo, your current pole sitter. Doing all that he can there. In a number 22 Ford GT machine. He'll be doing whatever he can on the inside line to make sure Nick Leo doesn't get past. Because the championship is on the line here tonight. Dominic Leo and Nick Leo, you can see the number 69 dual machine, the current championship leader on that outside line. As we're rolling down the backstretch now, coming into turn 3. Only a couple seconds to go here tonight before racing goes underway. Drives in formation, they're revving their engines, they're shifting it down into second gear, getting ready for this start. As pace car rolls in. And the green flag flies. Lap 1, number 75 here at Michigan International Speedway. Dominic DeLeo on the inside line, getting a good start. Nick Leo holding it on the outside though. There's a bit of a gap behind DeLeo if he wants to hook it in. However, he's going to try around the outside into turn 1. Coming into turn 2. Something to keep in mind for these drivers. You don't want to be running too low or the low line for too long. That's it there. Nick Leo on the outside line, getting the run he needs to get past Dominic DeLeo. DeLeo is going to take the inside line once again to minimise that distance of travel, to try and get up alongside him and hopefully try and get back in front, but I think it will be in vain. It looks like the drivers on the outside line are getting that exit that they need because of the banking. Because Dominic DeLeo is now going down the order. Now third place under threat from Jared Reed, the number 5 machine on the outside line. So it looks like Nick Leo is now controlling the pack. You see these drivers running down into the first seam. As I say that, Nick Leo spinning. Losing the rear end just a little bit there, managed to keep it all in one piece. However, he's dropping back down those positions. This is exactly what I was talking about from these drivers. They need to make sure they minimise these mistakes and minimise the risks, because now he's fallen back into 5th place. If he loses 3 more spots and Dominic DeLeo continues to win this race, that'll be a championship fight over. He needs to make his way through the field slowly and lethargically, without taking too many risks. However, you've got to think about the time factor as we go on to lap 3 here of 75. Stefan Gibson, your now current leader, as we can see further behind. Jared Reed is under threat from Dominic DeLeo on that inside line as they go side by side coming out of turn 2. Looks like Jared Reed does have the advantage on the outside line currently. Bear in mind, the lower you go on the track, the more tyres you are going to burn, because the more you're having to turn that wheel. The higher you go, the less stress is going to be on that right front tyre. So at the moment, Jared Reed does have the advantage in terms of tyre wear. If you run too low, you'll burn up your tyres. However, you do have the shorter distance. So it's a balance. You maybe don't want to do it. You could probably get away with doing it once or twice or for 1 or 2 laps. But you do not want to be doing it over a race stint, because these drivers have to think about their tyre life. Being a 75 lap race, it looks like Jared Reed, they're getting a little bit of contact with the wall. We go on board here with Dominic DeLeo in just a second here, see what these drivers are having to go through. He's having the early issues. As it looks like Dominic DeLeo has been able to make his way down the inside of Jared Reed there. As we go on board with Jared Reed and the number 5 machine, we can just see the banking here at Michigan is quite a large one. It's such a large track. However, you can see they can't use all of it. He's choosing to run the higher line there, the second seam in the racetrack. I guess a little bit of a snap of oversteer there. As the caution flies here tonight, it looks like there was an incident further back down the grid involving probably Garrett Hall and Kevin Haas, I believe. Let's see if we can get a replay on that here tonight. As we're watching Garrett Hall in number 13, H&M Motorsports machine, as he looks like he's trying to go down the inside of the 29, he just, not sure if that was a wheel disconnect or something, but he just snaps to the right and into the wall, spinning across the track. It looks like most of our drivers were able to avoid him. However, you can see that puffs of smoke coming out of the back of that machine. That is not what you want so early on. That's going to be surely him using his fast repair on lap 6 of 75 tonight. It's a long way to go. I've said this before in previous races as well. These drivers kind of want to avoid using that fast repair so early on in the race, because it means if you get involved in later incidents with such a large volume of the race left, is, you know, it's definitely a prominent risk that these drivers have to take into account. So maybe you'll leave some damage still on the car. However, Michigan being a faster track, aero does mean a lot. If you have those little bits of metal sticking out into the airflow, that's going to be causing a lot of drag, and these cars won't be able to go as fast as it looks like, I believe. Leader there, Stefan Gibson. I'd like to say a beautiful pit fake. All the other drivers want to pit, as it looks like he is the only driver to stay out and not choose to go down pit road here tonight. Looks like all of our drivers pretty much, Dominic DeLeo, Jared Reed, Nick Leo, Carter Lenz, Jake Vanosky, Robin Mathis Jr., Charlie Gates, Butch Taylor, Leaf Smith, Kevin Haas, all chosen to go down pit road. Garrett Hall staying on the lead lap just about. It looks like there is a little bit of damage to the right side of the number 5 machine. I'm not sure if that was him contacting the wall a couple times. You can see some of that paint is definitely scraped off that rear side, or that right side, excuse me. Doesn't look like he's choosing to get it fixed. They're going to switch back to our leader, Stefan Gibson, now in the number 53 machine, the only driver not choosing to pit, so he doesn't want to change that pit strategy. He wants to make sure he keeps it nice and tight. And trying to make this race, I believe, a one-stop, because these drivers have just gone down pit road. They will have to pit again once again in this race, but so does Stefan Gibson. And obviously, with only about 5 laps fresher tyres, maybe that came into a that will come into a factor later on in the stint. It's a bit of a disadvantage, I believe, because he has the track position. That's what he's trying to think at the moment. He knows he has the track position, which is ultimately the most powerful thing in racing. No matter what racing series or way of motorsport you're racing in, track position is king usually. So he's choosing what he thinks to be the best option, as our drivers are now coming in right behind him with those fresh tyres. As Jared Reed, our only driver to go down pit road once again, so it looks like he's going to try and take those repairs without using the fast repair, getting as much as he can done on the number 5 Ford machine, because he knows it's definitely a risk to use our fast repair early on, as I admitted before. So he's playing the safe game here and choosing to go down pit road for a second time, so he doesn't go a lap down. Just going to switch here to our NASCAR tower. As you can see, our order for tonight. Before we go green, you can see Stefan Gibson, Nick Leo in P2, Dominic DeLeo in P3, Carter Lenz P4, Jake Vanosky your top 5. As we switch back to our NASCAR ticker now, as we go down the back stretch. Our first attempt at a restart here tonight at Michigan International Speedway. Lap, or we'll be going on to the green, lap 9 of 75 here tonight. Stefan Gibson and number 53 will be controlling this restart. As we all once agreed here tonight. As the pace car is about to drop down into pit road now. And the green flag flies once again in Michigan's National Speedway. Drivers on the inside line getting a good start. Dominic DeLeo getting past Nick Leo on that outside line. Will he try and cover him off on the outside because he knows how powerful it is? Learning the hard way earlier on in this race, it looks like he comes out wide just a little bit to block off that run of Nick Leo to make sure he doesn't get that track position. As it looks like Dominic DeLeo is going to switch to the inside line now, down the inside of Stephen Gibson to take the lead of this race as they're side by side going into turn 3. Looks like Dominic DeLeo provisionally takes that position as Stephen Gibson chooses to cut down low once again and just try and block off that lead. Or try and block the run of the number 69 behind. We battle slightly further back, so it looks like Robert Mathis Jr. as he spins down into the apron out of turn 2. Just like what happened to Dominic DeLeo. Or was it Nick Leo? Apologies, they have very, very similar names. One of those two earlier on in the race did. However, once again, he's able to keep it nice and straight and the caution flag does not fly. Let's switch back to our battle for second place. Stephen Gibson on that outside line, getting the run on Nick Leo. Taking back that position that Nick Leo has just taken from him. As he cuts down below once again, trying to block off Nick Leo, making sure he doesn't get the line that he wants. Or covering the same line so he doesn't get a better exit. As we go down the straight, Nick Leo on that inside line, choosing the inside line, sending it. As he takes that number 2 spot back from him. Stephen Gibson down now to P3. Over Dominic DeLeo stretching that gap to nearly a second, 9/10 the gap to Nick Leo behind. Because of that battle that was going on behind, he's able to benefit from that. And he's been able to stretch that gap even more now. So he has that safety cushion. And the draft will be less strong for Nick Leo. So he's going to have to work harder on those tyres to try and catch and gain that gap back up. As it looks like though Nick Leo over the past 2 corners is able to gain 1/10 of a second on Dominic DeLeo. So now Nick Leo is thinking definitely about catching Dominic DeLeo, but then he also has to think in the back of his mind about tyres as well. Does he want to burn them up early, or does he want to try and save them and then therefore be stronger on those tyres at the end of the stint than Dominic? It's definitely going to have to be something that he will have to balance, and so will all these other drivers. Do they choose to push now? Or do they choose to save their tyres? It looks like that is Carter Lenz down the inside of Stephen Gibson and number 4 machine. As they're now going side by side into the tri-oval. Stephen Gibson getting the run on that outside line. Already evidently that outside line is giving the run for these drivers. And it's definitely helping them down the straight. Just going to go a little bit further back to Jake Vanoski in the number 7 machine as he tries to make his way through the pack in front of him. Very close-knit pack here, battling for that P7 spot. Or apologies, the number 8 spot, rented by Garrett Hall in the number 13 machine. Slowly but surely, it looks like Jake Vanoski is going to be taking that inside line. Can't quite make that move stick, however. We're going to move back to our battle for second place, however. Stephen Gibson now defending once again from Carter Lenz. Carter Lenz choosing that inside line. Going down to the first seam on that racetrack. He gets the initial track position. However, we know the 53 will have a run down the straight. Will he be able to take that position back, as now they're side by side once again crossing the line. Lenz still on the insides. They're still too wide going into one. Lenz choosing to back off just a little bit. He knows if he keeps running that low line, he will be burning up his tyres more than he wants. And he knows he's also losing time to Jared Reed. As I say that, he's taking the outside line. Followed by, that's Robert Mathis Jr. as well. Taking advantage of the battle in front as Lenz falls down the order. Just in front, Jared Reed overtaking Stefan Gibson, taking that number 3 spot. Lenz shuffled all the way back down to P6. As we update ourselves on our leaders, it looks like Nick Leo is not able to hold that gap. That gap's now 1.8 seconds to Dominic DeLeo. Dominic DeLeo stretching that gap to give him that cushion that he needs to just relax, save his tyres a little bit, and manage his race a little bit more. Nick Leo is in a bit of a situation here, because if this goes green for the whole race, at some point within this stint or the next stint, he's going to have to make up that time. And how he chooses to make up that time is all to him. Is he saving his tyres now for the end of the stint, or is he trying to burn them up now and pit a little bit early, get an undercut on him and gain the time like that, and then just hold that track position? We'll have to see how that one plays out. Just a little reminder for the championship. If Dominic DeLeo does win this race, every time I mention it, Jared Reed there onto the apron. So I believe he managed to keep it out of the wall. Great job from him. However, the caution does fly on that 18 of 75. Every time I mention the championship, something seems to happen on track. I'll mention it now, as we are under caution. If Dominic DeLeo does win this race, as he is at the moment, Nick Leo will have to finish 8th place or below in order for him to win. Nick Leo, all he needs to do is stay within that top 7 to guarantee his spot. As our driver's catching up to the pace car now. I say that, it looks like Kevin Haas has managed to crash. I believe that may have been under the yellow. Or it may not have been. Just have a quick camera view on him. It looks like, yeah, it must have been under caution. Looks like our live timing software has given us a false reading here. I don't think he crashed. He has stopped on track though. Very, very interesting. See if we can get a view on that. All of our drivers now coming down to pit road for the second time. Every driver on our grid now choosing to come down pit road. Will Dominic DeLeo only take right side tyres in order to keep that track position, to make sure Nick Leo doesn't do the same, to cover him off? Or will he take the gamble, take all 4 tyres and fuel? We'll have to see who comes out first. As we switch to our pit lane camera above turn 1, who will come out first? So it looks like Nick Leo is able to get a jump on Dominic DeLeo, as that's Stefan Gibson there having a little of a spin onto the grass. That could mean an iRacing black flag for him, because he has crossed the yellow line before the blue cone. Very unfortunate for him. However, Dominic DeLeo, before race leader, is now shuffled down to P2 as Nick Leo gets a great stop and he's able to jump him, taking that number 1 spot. However, Dominic DeLeo will have that all deadly outside line to deal with. If he gets a good enough run, a good enough start, he may be able to hold it and maybe take that track position back from the number 69. That is my name. Hello. As the lights are out on the top of that pace car, which means we will be going onto green this time by. I say that Dominic Deleo has been shuffled down the order. Down into that P4 position. I wonder why. That promotes Stefan Gibson back into that number P2 spot. Just a moment as we are under caution. Butch Taylor, as usual, our current high climber, up 9 spots from where he began in that P3 position. So if he holds it here, that's big points for him. And may be able to accelerate him further up the table. As we have to remember, this is the season finale. All points matter. Everything matters in this race because this is the final chance for these drivers to gain points and move up the order as we round out the first season. As we are about a third through the race now. As we'll be going green on lap 22 of 75 here tonight for the second restart. Nick Leo will be controlling it on that inside line in the dual-backed 69 machine. One of the only Chevrolets on the grid. You all have a full Chevrolet front row. Let's go green once again. Nick Leo getting a great start on the inside line. Gap forms behind him as it looks like maybe Stefan Gibson will choose to tuck him behind. As we already go single file now into turn 1. Looks like going 3 wide further back. That's Jake Vanoski, Rob Mathis Jr. and Charlie Gates Jr. going 3 wide now, coming into turn 2. Going to 2 wide, Jake Vanoski on that inside line now. Rob Mathis Jr. able to pull that gap further ahead. The battle's now between Charlie Gates Jr. and the number 55 and Jake Vanoski on that inside line in the number 7 car. It looks like Butch Taylor, our highest climber at the moment, may have had a little bit of an incident in front. He's been shuffling down the order now. That's a free spot for Jake Vanoski. And he puts the car between him and Charlie Gates Jr. However, Garrett Hall and Rob Mathis Jr. going 2 wide in front once again as well. So it looks like Rob Mathis Jr. is able to hold that inside line and keep that track position. Nick Leo though still our leader here tonight. Stefan Gibson, your P2 driver. Dominic DeLeo, your top 3. Looks like they've already been able to form a little bit of a breakaway pack. Form around about 7/10 gap. 2 Carter Lenz behind the number 4 machine. So we go on to lap 24 of 75 here tonight. Stefan Gibson choosing a slightly lower line than Nick Leo. Nick Leo choosing a higher line on the racetrack. Move to save tyres, maybe to get the run down the straight. Stefan Gibson is having a look though. He's looking to make that move. As we go on board here with Dominic DeLeo, as we can see that battle in front rage on as he sits in behind in that P3 spot, able to gain around about a 1.1 second gap now to Carter Lenz in P4. As you can see, Stefan Gibson choosing the same line as Nick Leo initially through the corner, but in the middle of 1, 2 and 3, 4 he chooses to cut down low. As now they're side by side coming down the front stretch. Stefan Gibson, your driver on the inside, Nick Leo in the 69 on the outside. Looks like Nick Leo in the number 69 will get the run down the straight, nearly banging doors there coming out of turn 2. Nick Leo not able to clear the number 53 just yet. As they're still side by side coming down the front stretch. Devin Gibson still on that inside line. Dominic DeLeo just sitting in behind, watching it all happen. Saving his tyres because he knows that Lenz, or excuse me, Devin Gibson on that inside line will be burning up a little bit more tyres. So maybe he's going to try and exploit that later on in the race, when tyre age becomes a factor. As it looks like Dominic DeLeo, as I say that, will be going down the inside of Stephen Gibson there. Going too wide down the backstretch. Nick Leo still in front now. He's just, yeah, he's been able to hold his position out in front for the time being. Devin Gibson having a little bit of a moment there on the entry of turn 1. Losing the rear end, keeping a hold of it, but that means he's now going to lose all that time he gained onto Carter Lenz. Carter Lenz now closing 6/10 the gap. That leaves us now our two current leaders, Nick Leo and Dominic DeLeo, our championship battling rivals. As it stands, Nick Leo will be your Rubbins Racing Next Gen Series champion if the lead stays as it is at the moment. You have a little bit of battling going further back. Rob Mathis Jr., Jared Reed on that outside line, the number 5 machine. Pretty neck and neck coming down the front stretch. You can see though the number in, the car on the inside line does have the shorter run initially. So they do gain a little bit of time on the inside to begin with. However, on that outside line, you're able to carry so much speed on the exit that any kind of gains on the inside line is just washed away before you exit turn 2 and 4. So as long as you're able to defend that outside line to a reasonable pace, you are able to hold that position. So we can see Robert Mathis Jr. nearly getting ahead of Jared Reed, but now you can see that run that he has on that outside line just saving him. They're now going too wide for a 3rd or 4th lap there. Mathis Jr. getting a little bit loose on the inside line. So what I mean, on that outside line, the cars are just so much more stable. As it looks like Mathis Jr. is able to cut in front of Jared Reed, taking that P5 spot. That puts him 2 places ahead of where he began. Rob Mathis Jr. now on that outside line. Jared Reed having a look down the inside to try and get that position back. Rob Mathis Jr. holding that outside line, however. As he switched back to a couple tenths behind, Jake Vanosky is currently on the inside of Garrett Hall, trying to make his way through the pack. So he does it as a motto for the number 7 here, taking his time, making sure he doesn't burn up his tyres too much, making sure he has some in reserve for later on in this race. Looks like Jake Vanosky there may have got into the wall. It sounds like he's having a little bit of engine troubles there in the number 7. He's slowed down big time compared to the pack. He's definitely lost a lot of time. Butch Taylor still our highest climber at 4 spots from where he began in that P4 spot, starting from the back of the grid. We're going to switch back to the battle for the lead here. Dominic DeLeo is on that inside line of Nick Leo on the 69. He's able to get that move initially done. Nick Leo choosing to switch now to that inside line. Dominic DeLeo choosing the outside. Their championship rivals battle it out for the lead of the race. However, Nick Leo must be thinking in the back of his mind, is this battle just a little bit too risky? He knows even if he finishes P2 in this race, he will still have the championship in his... Oh, he has it in the bag. As long as he makes no mistakes and does not fall below that sacred P8 spot. As it looks like Nick Leo is able to take that spot from Dominic DeLeo in the number 22, getting back that number 1 spot. As we go on to lap 36 now of 75. Looking a little bit further back as Butch Taylor trying to make his moves at back up the grid. He's still at 4 spots where he began in P8, sizing up Garrett Hall in number 13 in front, waiting for just a small mistake, just anything that he can use in order to get past him, or just anything to capitalise, anything to gain time to give him that initial run he needs to make that overtake on the number 13 without having to burn up his tyres too much and use that inside line right by the yellow. You can see not many drivers choosing to take that line wisely. Simply because you burn up your tyres way too much, you heat up that right front way more than necessary. It looks like Dominic DeLeo is now leading the race. He's been able to get back at Nick Leo as our drivers at the front battle it out even further. Back and forth it is on lap 37 to 75. As it looks like Jared Reed is making his way down pit road. As you can see, a little bit of damage to the right hand side of that number 5 machine. Has he hit the wall again? Is he going to choose to use his fast repair and maybe try and get out before our drivers at the front make it pass? I don't think it will happen. That may mean he will go a lap down. I'll be looking at how long he is in the pits to see what he is actually doing. Is he taking tyres? Is he taking gas? Or is he just taking that fast repair? It looks like Nick Leo is back down the inside of Dominic DeLeo, taking that P1 spot, cutting off any kind of run the 22 has. As it looks like that's Dominic DeLeo choosing to go down pit road on lap 39. Locking up those front tyres. I'm not sure if that was speeding in the pit lane. I'm not getting any messages through the live timing software indicating that. So it does look like he managed to get away with it. This Jared Reed was in his pit box for around about 55 seconds. So he was definitely trying to get as many repairs as he can finished. Nick Leo, you're still leader now on that 40 of 75. Already over halfway through this race here tonight. And definitely sizing up, maybe not one for the championship, but it's definitely a battle nevertheless. As it looks like more drivers are choosing to go down pit road. Carter Lenz, Rob Mathis Jr. and Charlie Gates Jr. all choosing to go down pit road. As they switch a little bit further back, the battle for third currently on track. Garrett Hall in front of Butch Taylor as they still battle on to lap 41. Coming on to 42 of 75 here tonight. As we switch back to our leader Nick Cleo, it looks like he's trying to go long and stretch out these tyres as long as he can for the fuel end to make sure, or to try and have more tyres towards the end of the race. They can begin to catch Dominic Leo later on in the race as plans, it seems, as he tries to stretch these as long as they will go, utilising those tyres that he's been saving up, or maybe he's trying to save them up even more. We do not know. So it looks like Stefan Gibson, your P2 driver, was also choosing to go down pit road. As we just pull up our pit strategy board here, you can see which drivers have choose to pit and which ones haven't yet. Nick Leo, Garrett Hall, Butch Taylor and Jake Vanoski are drivers who have not chosen to pit quite yet in this race. As it looks like Dominic DeLeo is able to unnap himself from the number 69, getting back onto that lead lap as Nick Leo now is going down pit road. This writes Garrett Hall to your P1 position, Butch Taylor on that inside lineup, 10 spots from where he began now. Bear in mind he hasn't made his pit stop quite yet, which means he will fall back down the order. He wants to make sure he doesn't lose he wants to lose as little time as possible. See if he can gain track position over the pit stop period. If he can. Drivers down the straights getting up to 167 miles an hour here tonight. Coming into the corner. Just watch that speed go up and up as Butch Taylor is having another look down the inside the number 13 car. And getting up to nearly 200 miles an hour. These new NASCAR next gen cars. Absolutely blazing quick. It looks like Butch Taylor is closer this time. He now has door with Garrett Hall. As he's going to be going down the inside of turn 3. Not quite made the move stick, however he's going to have to settle back behind him this time round. As the battle continues on to lap 48 of 75, or 47. As battle for first continues. Garrett Hall still your leader here tonight, followed by Butch Taylor. Jake Vanoski a little bit further behind, around about 5 seconds behind them. Is your top 3 at the moment. Butch Taylor having another look down the inside, crossing the line. They're side by side once again going into turn 1. Butch Taylor having to back out because he knows he can't carry as much speed on the inside line as Garrett Hall can on the outside. However, Garrett Hall holding that outside line, giving Butch Taylor no choice. If he wants to go around him, he will have to go down the inside, or that move just won't be done. As we continue on this battle for first. Just continues lap after lap. 26 laps to go now here tonight at Michigan International Speedway. The countdown begins. 26 laps left of the season here tonight. Before we throw in the towel. After the end of the season, it looks like Jake Vanosky now choosing to go down pit road in number 7 car. Leave Smith overtaking that P1 spot now, and Nick Leo is still your provisional leading driver after the pit stops. However, you can see Jared Reed, although he is a lap down to him, I believe. I stand corrected. Dominic DeLeo. Oh, hold on. A bit confused by our live timing software here. It's not. Yeah. As you can see, Jared Reed is still a lap down to Nick Leo. However, they're chilling right together. Maybe Jared Reed is trying to use that slipstream behind the draft of the number 69 to help him save fuel. And just give him that little boost on the straights to help him out in his race. As it won't affect the number 69 at all. It would only make him faster as well. There is no reason why they wouldn't want to work together. However, Garrett Hall's still your race leader here tonight, but Taylor just can't find his way past. Maybe he's given up on the overtake on this stint at least. He's trying to think about his fuel and his tyres to make sure they last as long as possible. As we go 23 laps to go here at Michigan International Speedway. 23 laps to go until the end of Season 1 of Urban Racing Next Gen Series, sponsored by Buttkicker. As we jump on board with Butch Taylor here, we can just watch him follow Garrett Hall on in front of him and just see what these drivers are having to drive through on those older tyres, as he pitted on lap 5, I believe, or lap 6 at the beginning of the race for his new tyres. Or actually no, he pitted on lap 24, I believe, with everybody else. Let me pull up the pit strategy board. Yeah, he pits on lap 12 for the second caution of the night along with everyone else. You can see he is lifting on that inside line, so he isn't trying to overtake Garrett Hall this time. He knows this isn't the time for a battle. This is time to save your tyres, and we'll battle near to the end of the race. As we hit 21 to go here tonight, are they going to try and stretch out all the way? Do they think we'll have enough fuel to go to the end? Or they just stretch out their pit stops even more? Make us only have to put a little bit of fuel in the car, and they'll have those fresh tyres so they can just work their way back through the field nice and quickly before the wear sets in. Apologies, that was not the driver I thought it was. It looks like Stephen Gibson is down the inside of Butch Taylor on those fresh tyres. He's looking to make himself, or unlap himself, back onto the lead lap here tonight. He's trying to have a look to find his way around Butch Taylor without affecting time too much. He's having a look down the inside. He has the fresher tyres. He will be quicker than our current race leaders. Will he be able to utilise that grip and get past them as soon as possible before that tyre advantage does disappear here tonight? To go, 19 laps to go, 18 laps to go. So it looks like Butch Taylor now is going side by side with Garrett Hall, going down the back stretch. He's chosen now to make his moves. It looks like, oh, looks like Stephen Gibson on that outside line is trying to have a look. Butch Taylor said no. It looks like Lee Smith has made his way down into pit road to make his pit stop of the night. It looks like Garrett Hall now, he hasn't been able to make it the whole way. And he's chosen to go down pit road this time by Butch Taylor choosing to stay out. Getting those points for leading laps. That is if he doesn't choose to pit this time by. And choose to stay out an extra lap after that. So it looks like, yes, Butch Taylor is choosing to go down pit road this time by as he goes below the yellow line. So that should be everyone pitted now. Which means Nick Clear, as he rounds out onto the back stretch, he should be overtaking Butch Taylor in just a second here. To redeem that P1 spot. As it stands, Nick Clear will be your champion for Season 1 of the Rubbins Racing Next Gen Series. Only 16 laps he has to go. Hold it together to not make any mistakes, and he will be crowned the first ever champion. As he battled further on, it looks like Jake Vanoski and Butch Taylor, I believe that is, having a little bit of a tussle. Looks like Butch Taylor, though, is on those fresher tyres, so he should have that tyre advantage over Jake Vanoski, who shouldn't, or the number 7 of Jake Vanoski, can't do a whole lot maybe to overtake him. He needs to be careful not to push those tyres too much, so we still have to go 15 more laps on them. As that's Charlie Gates Jr. and the number 55 machine letting them by. Indebting himself the lap to the number 33 and number 7 machine. We're going to keep our camera here on Jake Woloski and Butch Taylor, as they are the closest drivers together at the moment in this race. Looks like our field is pretty spread out here tonight with 30 laps to go. Different drivers choosing to take different strategies. So it looks like Stephen Gibson chooses to block that outside line. Butch Taylor says no problem. He goes down the inside now, crossing the line as he's able to cut back in front of him to take that outside line that he needs, so he can get that run that he also wants, that he didn't get against Garrett Hall. As you can see now, he has that gap down the straight as Stephen Gibson in the background is stalled just slightly. That may give him a little bit of aero damage and will initially slow him down the straight as well. As we know, we've got 12 laps to go. Stephen Gibson falling down the order now. He's back down into P7. However, the current highest climber, Butch Taylor, from last on the grid to P5 now, up 7 spots from where he began. As per usual, Butch Taylor making his way all the way through the field. Slowly but surely. I think though at this track his effect or his strategy doesn't work as well because of the field spread. The gaps that get formed after you've got through them, it's just so difficult to close down those gaps. Because, well, yeah, they're just so big. We can see though now the gap between our leaders is around about 3.9 seconds. So Nick Lear is able to stretch himself a sizable lead to the current P2 driver of Carter Lenz, the number 4 machine. This is closely followed by Garrett Hall. You can see in the background behind Jared Reed as he goes down the inside. Garrett Hall still your P3 driver, so Nick Leo, Carter Lenz and Garrett Hall are your top 3 at the moment. As we cross the line to go 10 laps to go here tonight at Michigan International Speedway. It's been a good race so far, as it looks like Garrett Hall there is able to go down the inside of Carter Lenz, taking that P2 spot with 10 laps to go. Will Carter Lenz able to stay behind, or will he just chill in behind and make the move later on in the race? Have to wait and see. He chooses now. He's going to go down the inside, choosing that low line against Garrett Hall on number 13. However, Garrett Hall will have the king exit, as Carter Lenz isn't able to make that move stick. He needs to be careful, because if he keeps going so low onto the track, he's going to be burning his tyres so much more than the people around him, giving him a disadvantage. As we get later and later into this race, he'll be slower and slower and slower compared to everyone else, which is obviously not what a racing driver wants. You don't want to be going slow, you want to be going quicker, don't you? As we go 9 laps to go, it looks like we've been able to keep ourselves a pretty green run at the moment, all the way from lap 12, I believe it was. To lap number 65. As here I believe Garrett Hall does have the fresher tyres, and he does seem to be slowly catching on Nick Leo, our leader. Will he be able to challenge for the lead? Is 8 laps enough for him to close that 2-second gap? We'll have to wait and see. Yeah, hang in there, Carlins. Hang in there, buddy. Get that number 2 spot. As you can see, Butch Taylor is quite a way back, so if Carter Lenz is able to keep it nice and steady and keep his nose clean for the last 7 laps of this race, he will come home in that P3 spot. It's an absolutely solid finish for him. Solid points for the team, and most importantly for the driver as well. Number 5 for Jared Reed, getting a little bit closer to the bumper of the number 4. Not sure if he's on fresh tyres and he wants to get past, or he's just chilling it behind, saving that fuel, making sure he can make it to the end. So we go 6 laps to go now, as we're watching Carter Lenz come out of turn 4. Only 6 laps to go till the end of the season. It's definitely been a brilliant one. I haven't been commentating the entire time, however I know the drama has been extreme. Living up to the motto, great drivers with great attitude for sure. You won't find a driver in this league with a negative attitude. They're always brilliant at driving, they always think for the positives, and never have I ever seen any kind of acts of aggression or anything. These drivers are really nice and courteous towards each other, and definitely one of the best leagues in terms of that I've seen in quite a while. I'll definitely miss this series for as long as it goes until Season 2 starts up. However, it's been a brilliant journey, at least at the end of it anyway, and I've certainly enjoyed commentating up here in the booth, and so has James East and Gareth McAllister, who have joined us in the booth for previous races in the series. On behalf of Team Goon Squad, we'd like to thank you for choosing us as your broadcast provider. As it looks like out here in front though, Nick Leo on the outside line, Garrett Hall has been able to catch up. I'm not sure if Nick Leo had a bit of an incident there that's caused Garrett Hall to catch up. However, that doesn't matter. Garrett Hall is now down on the inside, nearly banking doors with Nick Leo. 3 laps to go here in this race here. Garrett Hall on the number 13 car on that inside line. Number 69 of Nick Leo on the outside. Nick Leo will have that run down the main straightaway, or the back straightaway, before turn 3. However, how long will this battle go on before the end of the race? As we can see the beautiful crowd cheering on their favourite drivers. We round out for 2 laps to go here now. Nick Leo now choosing to take that inside line, doing the good old switcheroo, as he does have that initial track position. However, Garrett Hall having that exit, obviously being on that outside line, being able to hold that position. These drivers round out turn 4, getting really close to the walls to get the most amount of speed they can out of turn 4 to try and cover off that run from Nick Leo that he will have with the draft. As we now go onto the final lap as the white flag flies here tonight at Michigan International Speedway. We're just going to go on board with Nick Leo here tonight. All the dying embers to see if he can make a move. He has an eye for the outside as they go side by side now, coming down the back stretch. Nick Leo does have that outside line. As long as he holds it now coming into the final corner, he will be able to do it, I think. Garrett Hall is now down your inside line as they bang doors coming out of turn 4. It looks like they have a bit of an incident there. Both the drivers keeping it nice in a straight line there. That was so nearly an incident. So nearly those drivers collided. As it looks like Nick Leo is able to cross the line in that first place spot, securing him the championship, followed by Garrett Hall. Carter Lenz your top 3 now as he rounds out turn 4. Definitely the drama I didn't expect there to win the race. However, an absolutely brilliant job from the drivers to keep it all in one piece. I'm sure that contact near the end was not deliberate, just a result of hard racing for sure, as our drivers are now crossing the line. It looks like we're able to get our racing results here in just a second, as they become official. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your final running for tonight. Nick Leo coming home in the number 69 car in P1, securing that championship, followed by Garrett Hall in the number 2 spot, followed by Carter Lenz, Butch Taylor, Robert Mathis Jr., your top 5, Jake Vanosky, Stephen Gibson, Leif Smith, Dominic DeLeo coming home in P9, unfortunately not able to make that challenge that he wanted for that championship lead. Followed by Jared Reed, Charlie Gates Jr. and Kevin Haas rounding out your top 12. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the Rubbins Racing Next Gen Series. So we're just going to get our drivers up into the commentary booth for their interviews. Just a quick second here tonight. As it looks like we don't have Nick Leo just yet, so just as we wait for him to join the booth, we'll bring up Carter Lenz. Carter Lenz coming home in that P3 spot. Have you got a copy?
I'm here.
That was definitely an interesting race for sure. You weren't quite involved with the battle at the front, however, you're able to pick up the scraps and take home that P3 position from your end. How did that race go?
It's actually pretty slippery going into turn one. Kind of a challenge at the start of the race figuring out where the grip was there, and obviously the other guys figured it out a little bit sooner than me, and I think Garrett, he played out the long run game a little bit better and played out his pit stop, and um yeah, I mean, good run for me. Started fifth, got up to third, and held on.
Yeah. Do you think the car got tighter over the stint, or was it getting a little bit looser? It seemed that drivers were able to get a hold of it later on in the stint. How'd the
Yeah.
car feel?
Yeah, as it felt like for me, as the car got settled in on new tires, it got a little bit more better, but towards the end, the tires progressively fell off.
Yeah, as you would expect. Um, yeah, I mean, obviously coming home in that P3 spot, that's really big points, especially in season finale. I'm not sure if that moved you up any positions. I haven't quite checked, however. That's always something you want to come home in that P3 spot. Well done, mate. Is there anyone before we sign off cheering you on from home? Any family, friends, or sponsors?
I'm sure there's some friends out there. I know there's a couple family members out there. Thank you all for watching. See you guys hopefully season 2.
Yeah, I'll see you in season 2. Thank you very much.
Yep.
I'll see you then.
Thank you.
As we now bring up Garrett Hall, our P2 finisher here tonight. Do you have a copy?
Yeah, I got you, man. Loud and clear.
Obviously coming home in that P2 spot, battling for the final quarter. I'm sure you're not very happy about what happened. However, do you want to give us a run through on how that race went before the dying laps?
Honest and truly, I had no pace early on in the race. I mean, it was probably obvious by the fact that I nosedived it into the turn one wall on like lap 7 or something like that. But I mean, the only thing I could think to do was to stay out as long as I can on fuel. And once I realized everybody else had to pit way earlier than I did, it's like I'm just going to stretch it as far as I can and see if I can finish high in the standings. But I only took half a tank of gas and 2 tires on it last stop. And I don't know where pace came from, but wall riding in 3 and 4, I was making up a ton of time. I had no idea I'd catch Nick at the end of the race. I thought he was long gone.
Yeah, definitely. With those fresh tyres, I'm pretty sure you were able to hold with the leaders, and you were having a battle with Nick Leo there. Moving on to that, though, I was just had my camera off for a minute, and all of a sudden you guys were battling with 3 laps to go. What happened?
Like I said, man, I stayed up high. I didn't expect to come out of the pits in third, much less to be able to hold that position, to be able to pass Carter. I think it was like maybe 11 or 12 to go, and then realizing that I'd also cut 2.5 seconds out of Nick's lead. Like I said, I was just wall riding in 3 and 4. I could just about have it matted the entire way around there, and it just stayed off the wall. 1 and 2 were sketchy, but 1 and 2 were sketchy for me the whole race. So, honestly, truly, I think that's probably how I lost the race. I got so worried about him being on my right rear and car coming back around that I gave him the high line. And once I came off the high line, I had no more pace.
Yeah, that high line out of 3 and 4 is definitely the line to go. That kind of was my final question, so we'll just move on. Is there anyone cheering you on from home, family, sponsor, anyone you'd like to say thank you to end season 1?
Yeah, my parents, I know they're still watching. Girlfriend as well. I know they're proud. I'm not going to lie. Usually I'm happy when I finish second, but this one hurts because I know I could have won it.
Yeah, it always does.
Yeah. Rubbinsracing.com, Lenz Steel Company, Better Hammer on Twitch. H&M Motorsport, Robbie for telling me to, I'm about to curse. I don't know if I can curse on here, so I'm going to not err on the side of caution here. My boy Robbie, my teammate, telling me to shut the heck up and just go run down the leader. So that helped. You guys up in the booth, Finley, I mean, I watched the broadcast back just as much as I can. And it's always great to see. So you guys up there at Team Goon Squad are awesome.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to commentate on you guys racing. You always have brilliant attitudes, and it's always brilliant racing. Yeah, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Not a problem. Thank you.
See you in season 2.
Yes, sir.
As you round our drivers now, Nick Leo, our driver winner and also our drivers champion here tonight. How do you feel?
Oh, I feel great. What a race that was. What a finish. That was a lot of fun tonight.
Yeah, definitely a lot of fun. Absolutely brilliant race. However, though, talking with the strategy, you were one of the first drivers to go down pit road, I believe. What's the strategy into this race?
Yeah, I wasn't too sure. I saw Dom pitted, and then he came out. Like, I thought he came out behind me. I didn't. I think he got a speeding penalty, but I was like, oh well, man, tires make a pretty big difference. I better go pit.
Yeah,
Then
that's
I pitted, and I didn't think I'd even have enough fuel to last it at the end, but it made it, and we took it home in a good spot tonight.
Yeah, you took home the win and you took home the championship. Going into this race, though, surely, with the identical qualifying times as well to Dominic DeLeo, it was definitely something in the back of your head, how much risk do you take? Because, if you finish 8th or below, you would lose the championships. Like, what was the idea going into this race? Were you thinking about it, or were you just trying to focus away from it?
I just treated it like any other race. I spun it out right in the beginning. I wasn't feeling too confident after that, but I was just glad I didn't hit nothing or take anybody out. It was real tricky down in turn 1 and 2. Like, it was very on edge.
Yeah, a lot of drivers are complaining about the car being very sketchy through 1 and 2, especially on the exit. That was pretty much where a lot of drivers had lost it. However, though, pretty much through the tyre race, you managed to keep it nice and straight. And obviously, you did come home in P1, which is the biggest thing. Going on to the final laps of the race, though, that battle with Garrett Hall, would you like to take us through what happened there in the dying embers?
Yeah, I looked down. I think it was maybe about 8 or so to go, and saw how fast he was coming. I was like, well, he's definitely catching me. And then he passed me with, I don't know, maybe 2 to go or 1 to go, and I thought that was it. Because, I mean, he obviously had fresher tires, but I don't know if he got tight down in 1 or 2 or something, but we ended up side by side down the backstretch. And from that point on, it was what it was. I figured he was going to slide me or something, and so I was ready for it, and was able to save it, and hopefully it looked pretty good on the stream.
Oh, it definitely looked very, very cool. It looked like you died for a minute, but you managed to keep it in a straight line. Both you did, so that's the main thing. But yeah, I'm sure you're happy about that championship. I would be too. Yeah, anyone cheering you on from home, family, friends, or anything you'd like to thank before we sign off season 1?
Yeah, just the usual. Everybody at the Rubbins Racing crew, they put on one hell of a season for us, and had a blast from the start to the finish. And Jewel, of course, had that going all race during the one caution, and it was one portion where it was pretty spaced out, maybe the last 20 or so before Garrett got to me, so I was able to relax a little bit there and just focus on not wrecking the car. But yeah, to shout out to the viewers too, and you guys for doing a season. You guys did one hell of a job.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure commentating and watching you guys race. It's been brilliant. Thank you very much. And yeah, I'll see you for season 2.
Yep, have a good one.
You too, buddy. Ladies and gentlemen, those were your top 3 drivers. As we're about to sign off here for tonight, it's been an absolutely brilliant series. I've said it about 5 times already, but even with the short time I have been commentating for it, it's been absolutely brilliant. I certainly enjoyed it. That was season 1 of the Rubbins Racing Next Gen series every Tuesday night, sponsored by Bookkicker. I'll see you guys for season 2 whenever that chooses to happen. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.